Happy Tuesday, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about types of poems. Okay, so there are multiple types of poems. The types of poems that you're going to study are narrative poems. We just looked at a narrative poem yesterday, haikus, acrostic, free verse, rhyming, and sonnet. Okay, so the first one that we're going to look at is a narrative poem. Okay, a narrative poem tells a story. So it's you pretty much writing a story, but you created a rhyme scheme and you made it into a poem. So we looked at one of those yesterday. It does have a setting, it does have main characters. Most of the time, those are fiction. Most of the time, there is a problem and a solution to it. So there is a plot. Yesterday, we read Heat It Up, and it talked about how this little boy decided to make his peep cano really I guess he overfilled it and he made it really, really big. So it told our story. Okay, so that was a narrative poem. Just think narrative writing tells a story, a narrative poem tells a story. Next kind is called a haiku. A haiku poem has 17 syllables. So 1, 2. So like my name, Mallory. Mallory has 3 syllables. Well, this entire poem has 17 syllables in 3 lines. It can only be a 3-line poem. The first line has 5 syllables, the second line has 7 syllables, and the last line has 5 again. An example of that is butterflies are cool in the big, huge green forest. They fly up so high. So yes, this is a poem. It's called a haiku poem. Let's check it out. Butterflies are cool. That's 5. In the big, huge green forest. Sorry. In the big, huge green forest. So there's 7. They fly up so high. There's 5. Okay, so there's your example of a haiku. You will have to write a haiku in middle school. I remember doing it, and even my Emma had to write a haiku when she came home from 8th grade. So be prepared that you will continue to learn about poems, and haiku is one of them. All right, the next kind is called an acrostic poem, and you're going to write one of these this week. Okay, an acrostic poem takes a special word. A lot of times that's someone's name, but it takes a special word. In each one of the letters of that special word, it chooses a word or a line to describe it. So it says many poets pick a person's name for the titles of their acrostics. Each line describes the person. A line can be as short as one word. So her name is Michelle. She's a milk drinker. She's imaginative. She has curly hair. Happy, explorer, left-handed, learner, and eager. So those are all things that describe Michelle. So I went ahead and I did an acrostic poem for Mallory. So here's Mallory. Mom, because I'm a mom. I was a college athlete, so I chose athlete. Loves teaching. I love to teach you guys. Loves coaching. I love to coach the softball team at the high school. I'm outgoing, redheaded, and Young was actually my maiden name. So before I got married, I was Mallory Young, and now after I got married, I'm Mallory Newton. All right, next example is called free verse. Free verse has its own thing going on. I kind of think of like a hippie, like you're a free spirit. Free verse does not rhyme. Okay, it just does its own thing, but it's still got a lot of imagery and it's still powerful in the things that it's saying. So you know it's a poem. So here's an example of a free verse poem. Thrill ride. Up, up, click, click. Wind blows sharp in my ears. My heart jumps, skips. It's up higher. It's up, up, the highest. Hands grasp at the clouds. Then a forever pause, still waiting. Finally, whoosh. So you know it's talking about a roller coaster. Even if it didn't have this image here, you'd know that it's probably talking about a roller coaster. You can make that inference. So that is a free verse poem. So think about being free, having a free spirit. It doesn't have to follow any rules. Rhyming poem. That's most of the poems that you guys think of. It's a poem that rhymes. Okay, so we read The Festival of Colors. If it has a rhyme scheme, it's a rhyming poem. So this is an example of a rhyming poem. Next kind is called, and the last kind is called a sonnet. And a sonnet is a 14-line rhyming poem. So it has 14 lines to it, and It does follow a rhyme scheme. An example, when you are old. When you're old and gray and full of sleep and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of soft look. Your eyes had once and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace and loved your beauty with love false or true? But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you and loved the sorrows of your changing face. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled and pacing among the mountains overhead and hid his face among a crowd of stars. William Butler Yeats. Okay. So this has 14 lines because this is the first line, this is the last line. Okay. And it does follow a rhyme scheme. So when you're old and gray and full of sleep, book, look, deep. There are two sets of rhyming words, sleep and deep. So I'm going to label this letter A, and then I'm going to come back down and go ahead and label this letter A. Book, look. This would be B, because we got to go in order. A, B, B, and back to A. Let's check out this next stanza. Grace, true, you, face. We always start with letter A. Next letter, true. True doesn't rhyme with grace, so it gets a letter B. You, grace, true. You rhymes with true, so it gets to be letter B. Face. Face rhymes with grace, so it's letter A. Last stanza. Bars, fled, overhead, stars. So we start with letter A because it's the first line of the stanza. Fled does not rhyme with bars, so we go ahead and label it a letter B. Overhead, fled rhymes, so we go ahead and label this letter B. And stars. Stars rhymes with bars, so we go ahead and label that letter A. So now we have looked at all the different kinds of poems. What's your favorite kind of poem? We're going to continue to explore types of poems, but remember, with poetry, it's pretty much the same thing as music. It creates that rhythm. I've really enjoyed learning poems with you guys. I can't wait to continue to explore them.